Everyone, happy Sunday. Hope you're all doing good, that you're enjoying your weekend. Can you believe October is almost finished? I love autumn. It's still warm but not horribly cold. We're drinking pumpkin lattes spiced with cinnamon. You have this beautiful change of colours, especially if you live somewhere where there's all four seasons. And I live near a forest, so just the colours right now are amazing. I'm an autumn fan. Julia, wasn't is that what we're calling her now? Camilla, vile in Australia. Well, I mean, she been vile, to be honest. She is what she is. Oh, just hang on a sec. I don't think my mic is on properly. Okay, that should be a bit better. Hey Julia, hey Church Nelly, hey Olive. All right, let's get to it. Oh, before we get on to the royal stuff, this has been going viral. So Boris Johnson's new book is out, and there's this funny trend going on in bookstores all over the UK. I don't know how this started, or if like maybe one person in a bookstore saw it and then everybody else decided to start doing it. But basically, you have Boris Johnson's book, and then actually this isn't a great picture. Let's have a look at this one instead. You've got Boris Johnson's book, and then the bookshop keepers are surrounding it in like other books that are to do with lying. So you can see on one shelf, you've got Boris Johnson's book in the middle, How They Broke Britain next to it, A History of the World in 50 Lies on the other side, The Psychology of Stupidity at the bottom, and Surrounded by Liars at the top. And you've got this other one here in general fiction with Boris Johnson's book next to Listen to the Lie. And then you got another one with 50 Ways to Kill a Slug. Like, there's so many of these, by the way. These are just a few of them. This one, Surrounded by Liars, The Psychology of Stupidity, How They Broke Britain. And then you've got Boris Johnson's book right there in the middle. The other one next to Such Charming Liars and Storm of Lies. This one, in Waitrose, they actually took his book and put it on the toilet paper shelf and next to the cat litter. And then this one, Surrounded by Lies, Listen for the Lie, Hopeless by Colleen Hoover, with Boris Johnson's book in the middle. Hilarious. I don't know how this started, but it seems to be trending in bookshops everywhere. I never want to hear again that British people don't have humour, because this is hilarious. Boris Johnson's book, I believe, from the figures that I've seen, sold maybe like 50,000 copies or something like that, in comparison to Spare, which sold over 500,000 copies like in the first week or something, just in the UK. And it's sold, I don't actually know how much Spare has sold like globally, because I haven't seen any updated numbers for a while, but it's in the millions. And also, a book like Boris Johnson's book is going to do like decent in the UK, like not a huge splash, but it's really not going to do well anywhere else. Like I can't see anyone else from other countries like really being that interested. Nothing you can't Google if you want to know the truth, not from the liar's mouth. Whereas Prince Harry is, he's Diana's son. Any suggestion that Spare wouldn't have done well was a lie. And now the paperback is out. So it'll be selling even more. Exactly, Rahini. People remember what Bojo did and they will never forget. They're the smart ones. Anyway, on to royal news. This. Commonwealth leaders defy UK on slavery reparations. You had Charles as part of his tour when he was in Samoa, saying none of us can change the past. Charles backs Keir Starmer in effectively ruling out paying billions in reparations for slavery to Commonwealth nations, instead pledging to learn lessons, right equality endures. So does that mean fair trade deals? Does that mean no more political interference? I mean, there should be some compensation paid for the effects of colonization and how those effects continue to endure. There has to be something, because we're still seeing the effects even now. But they had this so-called Commonwealth meeting where they basically made it clear that wasn't going to happen. Mind you, Mr. Starmer was knighted, Sir Keir Starmer, so this doesn't surprise me too much that even he doesn't seem to, he's saying, he rejecting calls for reparations for slavery, saying it would lead to very long, endless discussions about the past. Well, it should. It should. That's literally what should happen. And other countries and other monarchies, have already looked into it or started actually doing this. Let me actually have a look at, was it Harry actually spoke about this. I think it was the Dutch. At least there was at least one country that we're looking at giving a huge sum of money back. And, I believe that up until recently, actually, Britain was paying Black slave owners whose slaves had escaped. So I don't think it's fair to say that they're not even going to be looking into this. Anyway, as I guess some form of protest at the Commonwealth Summit, there were many prime ministers who did not come. Only 20 prime ministers, presidents out of 56 members, fewer than half, sent foreign ministers. Canada sent High Commissioner from London. The Prime Minister of Canada didn't go. A symbol of the decline of British power, it could hardly be more stark. This week, King Charles III will preside over a summit of 55 associates with the fraying ends of the British Empire, hosted by Samoa. The Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting, a gathering of state leaders, will also be attended by his Prime Minister, Sir Keir Starmer. But a glance at this year's guest list highlights how the British monarchy's conveying power is not what it was. Indian Prime Minister Modi and South Africa's Prime Minister, two of the most powerful Commonwealth heads of government, who would normally be in attendance, both plan to skip this year's summit in favour of BRICS, a separate gathering of major developing nations hosted by the Russian President Vladimir Putin in Kazan, where Chinese President Xi Jinping is also in attendance. Now, that's so interesting. They decided to skip the Commonwealth meeting and go to this instead. I think, that's basically them saying, well, we're getting more over here than we are getting with you, so what's the point of meeting with y'all? Sri Lanka, which is also applying to join BRICS this week, is sending neither its prime minister nor foreign minister to Samoa, an official at the High Commission in London said. Not even Canada, a close ally of the UK and fellow member of the powerful Five Eyes intelligence sharing network, will send its prime minister or foreign minister to the Commonwealth Summit. The head of its delegation will be Ottawa's High Commissioner to the UK, a Canadian official confirmed. So that's an awful lot of countries saying, you know what, we're done with this. We're done with all this Commonwealth stuff. We're done with this royal stuff. I feel like often when we have this conversation about monarchy and, abolishing the monarchy and whatnot, a lot of the attention gets placed on anti-monarchists, on these Republican groups. Well, here you have leaders, world powers saying we've had enough. So what now? You can't just put this on, anti-monarchists or people like Republic. These are big nations or developing nations who are saying we're going elsewhere. We can't be bothered with this. And why should they be when you've got, Camilla laughing her head off and being utterly disrespectful? We'll get to that in a sec. Yeah, Julia, people are wanting none of it. Yes, Rahini, it was until 2015 the UK was still paying off the plantation owners for the loss of slaves. Indeed. So them saying, they can't make any type of reparation payments at all. Mind you, Harry said do you remember during lockdown when they had the meeting with the Commonwealth youths, and Harry said quite flatly, we need to have difficult conversations about the past. You also had when he was being interviewed by who was it now? The American guy, Anderson Cooper. He brought up the other royal families on mainland Europe moving to make, some payments, or moving to acknowledge, their role in colonization and slavery. Okay, next thing. This. Charles was being given, this was some kind of demonstration. I don't know what for exactly. You can see a workman there. Something to do with whatever is going on here. Something really cool with fire. But the pictures that came out of this were just like, wow. And when I was reading all the comments, people were saying things like, what did he see in those flames? Did he see his past? Maybe he saw his future. I mean, these are really some interesting pictures. And it reminded me of the painting that was done of Charles. Just wow. It's like he's literally seeing something in those flames. Oh wait, I've found what it is now. This is the Puritan fire demonstration during a visit to the Commonwealth Scientific and Industrial Research Organisation at the Royal Bushfire Behaviour Research Laboratory to learn about burnover protection systems and bushfire research. There you go. I did my homework. but looking at these pictures, I don't think that's what was on Charles's mind. It's like he has the weight of the world on his mind in these pictures. Very ominous pictures, if you ask me. Next thing, let's get on to Camilla, because where do you even start with this? Pretty much throughout this entire tour, and we even saw this on the Kenya tour as well, Camilla has been being incredibly disrespectful. She can't seem to help herself, and I think it's just because, let's be honest, it's not like anybody can really do anything about it. People can kick up a stink on social media, people can make comments, but she got what she wanted. She's in the position that she wanted to be. So it really doesn't matter how disrespectful that she is. She knows that she can behave like this. It was only a couple of weeks ago where she was standing next to Bridget Macron, and Bridget Macron reached out her hand, trying to, just be respectful in what was a very somber moment. And that would have, made Camilla even just a little bit more human. Even in a moment like that, she shoved Bridget Macron's hand away and then walked off before she did. And that's how she acts around Bridget Macron, who's a French woman. And so is anybody surprised that Camilla, when we see her laughing at Indigenous people, and she did it on this tour, but she'd also done it previously, so did Charles, but Charles seemed to have actually learned his lesson, seems to be behaving himself a lot better on these tours. But Camilla, the disrespect has been continuous. Taking her shoes off, not really a big deal if you ask me, except if it was Meghan, we would be having 500 articles about protocols and how she's being disrespectful and how she's not a lady for showing her feet and walking around barefoot. So it's just a double standard. That's really what the issue with this is. Nobody really cares that Camilla had her shoes off. It's just a double standard, and we know that something so insignificant Meghan would have been torn to pieces for. And I also just don't understand, being on a tour like this, how they're just not more prepared. Like, you can just have a spare of flats somewhere. And then GB News decided to post this. Camilla in tears during emotional farewell as King tells Samoans he hopes to survive long enough to come back. She wasn't in tears because she was crying. She was laughing. She was actually laughing. There was also footage of Charles, and it looked like he was actually falling asleep. Like he was kind of like bobbing his head, struggling to stay awake. Camilla kept on putting the fan in front of her face and talking to the side, just not really paying attention, not really engaging. Even when they were leaving, because they've now left, she walked up the stairs before Charles, while Charles was still talking to people. It's like she couldn't wait to just get out of there. Just really unclassy behavior. Yes, Wendy, there's no words for this. No class at all. Diana walking barefoot, the ghetto. Julia Rock, who wants to see those hooves? I feel like I need to catch up with Baron because I keep seeing stuff about hooves come up on Baron's page. And like, isn't he calling her Godzilla now or something? Oh my goodness. Cannot believe we got here. And I'm sure Camilla can't believe that she got here either. But it's just interesting that she fought tooth and nail to be in this position, and she's clearly not ready for it. But you had all the time to modernize this monarchy, to scale back on all these tours. And now you're going abroad, you're fed up, you're tired. You'd clearly rather be at home with your slippers on. And you're going to have to continue doing this and embarrassing your nation like this. Oh dear. Dear, oh dear. Anyway, on to Willie. Willie and his crusade to end homelessness, bring peace in the Middle East, end the climate change. Hold on to his hair. So William's ITV documentary on We Can End Homelessness is coming this Wednesday and Thursday, apparently. No, I will not be watching it. Even for the purposes of this channel, I will not be watching it. I'll just look at the commentary online. So the documentary follows the first year of Homewards UK, a 5-year program founded by William and the Royal Foundation, which aims to demonstrate that it is possible to end homelessness, making it rare, brief, and unrepeated. David Osland commenting on Twitter saying, a man with over 30 family homes, some of them literal palaces, is starring in a documentary on how to end homelessness. You couldn't make it up. Indeed. Peter Hunt saying, William can single-handedly make a significant impact on homelessness by accepting a fixed income in return for giving up his vast Duchy of Cornwall estate. Instead of tinkering at the edges, he'd become a consequential royal. I mean, yes, how can somebody with over 30 stately homes be talking about ending homelessness? It is ridiculous. Ending homelessness, this is a social, political, economic issue. And a huge part of that comes down to government policies. Now, many of the government policies that we have seen over the last 2 decades, while the Tories have been in power, have partly led to issues like homelessness. So the first place that William needs to go is Westminster, but he's not going to do that. So all of this is window dressing to make it look like William is doing something. Meanwhile, finances of the royals are coming more and more under scrutiny. It's very, very difficult to even get a straight answer on how finances are handled, distributed. This is from Prospect magazine. View of the monarchy in the UK remains overwhelmingly positive, but the public deserve full transparency on the family's staggering wealth. It's tough being a Republican politician in Australia, what with having to swear allegiance to the monarch when you take office. Lydia Thorpe, the senator who heckled the king in Canberra this week, has been wriggling around ever since, trying to find a convincing defense of her apparent hypocrisy. Don't know what she means by that. It was a dramatic intervention accusing the king of genocide and demanding that he return assaulted bones and remains. You are not my king, she howled. Challenged by a TV journalist about having sworn an oath in 2022 to Her Majesty's heirs and ancestors, she claimed that she had proclaimed allegiance to her heirs and successors, which is brilliant. But I don't see. I mean, I don't know what angle this lady who wrote this article was taking, but I don't see how that makes her a hypocrite. Republicanism back in the UK remains a lukewarm thing. A steady quarter of the population would prefer to have an elected head of state, while 2/3 of us have more or less positive view of the institution of monarchy. I don't think any of this is particularly truthful. So whoever wrote this, she does go on to say that, talking about research and the financing of the monarchy, and the different ways in which it's financed, but that we need more clarity, and the royal spin doctors, have us believing that it may turn the finances of the royals may become more modest in the future, but on paper things are looking the complete and utter opposite. And I think where we are going forward, eventually they are going to have to be more transparent. I don't think they really have a choice, because I don't see how the whole of the country can be living in a cost of living crisis, but clearly the monarchy is not. And I don't know how they continue to justify that while people are struggling. There's only so much that people can take before they start looking for a scapegoat. And the monarchy is just an easy scapegoat. If I'm in government and I'm looking for a scapegoat, I'm getting my spin doctors to do some work to turn people's attention that way. Especially when you got things like this. This came up on my Twitter feed. This was a job posting for a GP, a general practitioner, or a doctor, as you would call them, just call them in the US. I don't know if you call them GPs, but your healthcare provider, paying $11.44 an hour. That's what somebody who worked on the shop floor of a clothing store would make. And GPs train for years. It's just insane. So even if you are highly trained, you are still scraping by. But we've got a monarchy where you're paying over $500 million a year, but our healthcare practitioners who are providing a service to the community are getting paid pennies. Makes no sense. Somebody please make it make sense. There's only so much, royal spin doctoring you can do. Toki, Canadian here, so proud of my country's barely there presence in the Somewhat Summit. Well, Toki, if you're eating anything or drinking anything, please put it down. Because I hear, let me actually get it up. This literally came in the last hour, which is why I don't have it on my slides. But let me see if I have it on my, give me a sec. Yes. Breaking news. This is from the Mirror. The King is set to return to a full program of events next year, including 2 major overseas tours, with Canada being one possible destination. So I'm sorry to break it to you, Toki. Charles and Camilla are coming to Canada. listen, they're going to hang on to the big three with all their strength. Australia has already said, we're not interested. New Zealand, I actually don't know what New Zealand's overall thoughts are so far on monarchy. I guess we'll find out. And also now Canada. So Charles is going to go and beg Canada to stay, even though it seems like they're making it pretty clear that they're done too. Helen, you said the majority of the UK except Scotland accept the status quo and accept the royal family. I had an argument with 3 of my best friends over the weekend over them. Do you know what? Honestly, Helen, I feel like time is just going to do its thing. No need for arguments. For real. No need for arguments at all. Okay, William. This is interesting. They seem to be making it clear that Kate is most definitely not coming. There are also headlines, this is for Earthshot, there are also headlines that they are bringing in models and actresses. I find the choice of picture from GB News to be very interesting. Trust me when I say these news outlets, they want to say a lot, but they're not allowed to. And of course, we're coming up to the 1-year anniversary of whatever it was that happened at Sarandom that seemed to have set off a chain of events on the 28th of December. There was that row of police and security cars that seemed to be rushing into central London. And there's been all these strange articles about whether or not Kate will be there at Christmas. What are the plans for Christmas? Whether or not she'll be seeing the children. I feel like one of the camps between Kate's camp, William's camp, Buckingham Palace, Kensington Palace, and the royals and the press, one of them is going to blink first and tell us something. The question is who. But indeed, Kate will not be going to Earthworm. And remember last time William was at Earthworm by himself, he didn't really get many headlines. He had to bring in Cate Blanchett and all these actresses to help him. Because one thing Kate is good for is wearing a nice pretty dress and getting the front covers of all the papers. And William's, he's not going to have that this time. And it's interesting that William and Kate are increasingly doing separate events, and you don't really see the tabloids making a huge deal out of it. But let Harry and Meghan do separate events, and there are literally hundreds of articles and even a whole documentary coming out on Channel 5 about this. It's clearly deflection. Here it is. Harry and Meghan going their own ways. Ridiculous. Wait. Pictures tell 1,000 words. You judge by these pictures. Yes, JK, it was incredibly embarrassing. Exactly what I expect from somebody who wanted the crown and nothing else. Camilla really showing herself. Alrighty. Yeah, and actually, God, I'm even forgetting like certain other things that were happening on the tour. Camilla not looking at people who came out to see her and Charles. Walking straight past. Laughing when Lydia Thorpe protested. Laughing while watching the Indigenous people perform. And at this point, it's just, if you are one of those people, don't you just start asking yourself, why are we here showcasing our culture for people that just laugh? Only to have news outlets like GB News do their spin and say that she was tearing up. She was clearly laughing. And I want to know what was so hilarious about somebody sharing their culture with you. Oh dear. Right. I'm gonna end with your comments. Yes, lady, earthworm. That's what I call it now. We call it earthworm. I have to give credit to Baron. that's where I got earthworm from. Lucy Lou, you said, Ola Duchess, the Queen was very sick, but never did she go barefoot. No excuses for Camilla. Yeah. No excuses at all. Lady, are we not embarrassed by Camilla? I think the better half of us are, clearly. The better half of us are very embarrassed. Honey, just imagine what they say in private. Exactly. Just imagine what Meghan had to go through with these people. All right, folks. Going to leave it there. I want to say thank you again to everyone who continues to buy my book. You are just amazing. This is a whole collage of everybody with their books in their homes. I appreciate you all so much. I hope you're getting a lot out of this. This is actually a picture by a squaddy. She sent me this. These are the drawings from the journal pages. So there's the individual chapters that, you know, have the different topics, but each topic also has journal prompt pages just to help you kind of unpack what each chapter means to you in your life. So thank you so much to the squaddy who sent this really cute picture of her with a crown on her head saying, "Loving who I have become." Peaceful. Lovely. Appreciate you all so much. And it's nice to see that it's inspiring you all in the way that I wanted it to. All right, folks. Wishing you a fabulous week. Remember that we have an award show coming. Harry and Meghan will be presenting to Tyler Perry, and also the Polo on Netflix coming soon, and Aro in his own time. I want to buy that jam or whatever it is she's selling, but you know, in his own time. And the cooking show in its own time. JK, you said, I'm expecting my book tomorrow. Excited. Lovely. All right, folks. Let's wrap it up and go and enjoy the rest of our day. Ciao.